I would just like to ask my three panelists one particular question. That thank you for actually pointing us to what is happening, and each one of you have done that. Has the time come to look at a different kind of a relationship? And is there a possibility, both in terms of the nature of the kind of partnerships, and also, particularly when I speak about India, the fact that most of these partnerships have happened within a certain kind of space, which is generally the metros or the larger towns and cities. What we have noticed in the last few years is that there's a huge buzz in the smaller towns, in the tier 3 cities. Has the time come to start exploring those? As it's going to dictate a different kind of a need and a different kind of a relationship that you might want to take a look at. So can I start with Michael?
Actually, I think you're onto something, and something really terribly exciting. There are a couple of things happening. First of all, I think when you look at India's efforts to address the sometimes overwhelming or seemingly overwhelming needs in terms of higher education and how foreign universities using technology, which really, I think, makes the world terribly exciting, the world of higher education linkages. I would just give two very quick examples. I've been to Sonipat, which is about 2 or 3 hours north of Delhi, or east, I guess, west rather, of Delhi, and visited 2 universities there. So, the Bhagat Phul Singh Mahila Vishwavidyalaya, the Women's College, and O.P. Jindal University. And both of them are far out of Delhi, in the middle of fields, and yet they have amazing technology and amazing partnership programs where they host American students. The Bhagat Phul Singh Women's University hosts students from St. Catherine's College in Minnesota every year for an exchange program. I know that one of the areas we're focused on is community colleges and how important that is. And there's a series of community colleges in Chhattisgarh, in small towns around Raipur, that have programs linked through the university, the community colleges in Maryland, and the Maryland State Community College system. And they're really spread out. They're far from the JNUs and Delhi universities, and they're doing some really amazing things. And so I think you're absolutely right, that where there's a will, there's a way, as we say. And technology and the needs of India are making those wills find ways to do some really exciting things. It's challenging, but it's possible. Far more is possible, I think, than we give credit to.
Great, I completely agree with that. I think that until recently, this idea of distance learning had a little bit of a stigma attached to it. But what we're seeing in the last 5-10 years or so is that distance learning is really the future of a lot of international partnerships, and it absolutely increases access, and we've really seen some very innovative and effective models of distance learning, so that's definitely one thing that I agree with. Another thing that I touched upon before is this idea of really tapping this middle bar of U.S. higher education institutions, especially. We've seen a lot of institutional partnerships between the top tier colleges and universities in the United States, but it's really time to tap into all of that great learning that can happen at some very, very top colleges and universities in America. And then the last one that I noticed is in terms of funding. One kind of creative thing that people I see in the United States starting to do is develop consortia. So, using the power of the group and leveraging resources in order to develop good institutional partnerships with India.
Yes, thank you. My expertise is more on science, collaboration, and also touching a little bit to doctoral research. So from this end, I have to admit that here a lot of work needs to be done still in India. Obviously, we cannot compare all the universities and colleges on the rural side or on the countryside with the university system in Western Europe. But my personal feeling is that still more can be done. Obviously, when you talk about teaching in colleges and in universities, the idea of meta-universities, for instance, that the minister explained this morning is a great idea. But how about introducing new systems of creating a new management in universities? How about introducing new curricula for university management, for science management, not only in universities but also in institutes or in big research projects? There's a lot of funding actually added to the union budget and distributed by the MHRD and by the Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, also for PhD students for actually creating new projects for postdoctoral researchers, for young researchers. But these researchers, they need to get some knowledge in how to manage the funds. So we are wondering about when will that come? Will that ever come? I'm a little bit provocative. Obviously, I'm also, maybe I should add that I'm enthusiastic about India and about the progress here, and I'm admiring so many efforts that have been carried out by the union government, by the state governments. But still, I think in the years to come there are quite a few challenges, and why not collaborating much more intensively with partners from abroad? And this collaboration, from my personal point of view, would not end at the fact to invite foreign faculty. Why not collaborating with science management training centers abroad? There are science management training centers. There are university management training centers abroad. So here something can definitely be done, especially for the smaller universities in the smaller cities. I'm not going to talk about the IITs. I'm not going to talk about the central universities like Nehru University or Central University of Hyderabad. We all know that they are doing great research and teaching. But if we talk about the smaller universities, a couple of things can be done. And you will be happy, obviously, to have an exchange of opinions. Because we cannot, of course, give hints on how to improve the Indian system, because we simply don't know the Indian system. One life is not enough to get to know the Indian system for a foreigner. But we can give definitely benchmarks, and we can explain how we to try to improve our own system in Germany, because we also have challenges to face.
Thank you. We need to learn from each other. I couldn't agree more.